Oh, good to go.
Okay.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Beyond Ordinary podcast. We're over here at Podcast Evolutions. And I got Angela with me today. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good, good, good. So we're gonna be talking everything full-time content creator, photography, all the nine yards. So you want to introduce yourself and what you do?
Sure. So my name is Angela Hollowell. I am the founder of Rootful Media, which is a media company that houses all of the things that I work on, from documentary films to my podcast to my newsletters. We are here at Podcast Movement, so obviously I have two podcasts.
Mm,
One is Honey and Hustle, which is a show about North Carolina's entrepreneurs, and the other is Melanin MVP, which is about Black and Brown women athletes and sports.
absolutely. So for my podcast, I like to really get in the nitty-gritty in terms of like people's journeys and how they were able to essentially, leave corporate America, be able to work for themselves. Could you talk about like your journey and that and how you pretty much made that transition?
Yeah. So I started as a part-time photographer, just doing it as a side hustle in
Mm,
2016. That's when I shot my first wedding. Fell in love with it. And when I moved to North Carolina in 2019, really wanted to give myself the time to learn a new ecosystem, to learn more about the business side of creativity. I knew how to create. I didn't really know how to be a business owner. So going from Alabama to North Carolina was just a huge step up in my ability to learn and the people that I had access to. A lot of small business owners in North Carolina, and it's growing every day. In 2020, I went full time as a full time creative entrepreneur, working primarily with nonprofits, doing filmmaking, doing photography, and doing some social media stuff as well. As I grew in my creative business, I was like, okay, I need to niche down. I need to do less better. So I started focusing on filmmaking and photography, and I had a podcast that was just kind of a passion project.
mm.
And that's how I grew the foundation of my business across visual storytelling. So.
Okay, cool. And then how did you go about getting the clientele for your photography business and filmmaking?
A lot of it is relationships.
Uh,
I like to tell people when I first moved to North Carolina, I had a 9 to 5. And from 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock, I would be at work. And then from 5 to 8, I would be going to networking events. And I did that
mm.
at least 3 times a week for 3 months straight.
Where'd you find the networking events?
Eventbrite, Facebook, word of mouth, and
Mm.
sometimes a meetup.
Meetup. Okay.
And I did that every day for like every week for 3 months. And I met 500 people in that time.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of business cards, a lot of face-to-face meetings, a lot of one-to-one meetings,
Mm.
and that just really set the tone for me establishing my name and my brand in North Carolina. And from there, whenever I did get clients, just knocking them out of the park. And so like a combination of people knowing who I was and then having a good reputation for doing good work. So
Absolutely. That's dope. That's
yeah.
dope. So, you know, creative things or businesses, it's really hard to like, be profitable and scale things like that. So, and I do have people that are photographers that might be watching this, or filmmakers I might be watching this. So if someone wanted to transition and go full-time photography, how do you think the best way to go about it? I know you said networking events,
Yeah.
but how should they more so like market themselves?
Yeah, marketing is a big deal. If you don't have an audience, you don't have a business as a creator,
Mm,
even whether you're freelancing or you're doing original media. And I like to say a lot of it was, I made it as a business owner not because I was good at photography. It wasn't because I was good at filmmaking. It was because I understood that it was a business and I understood that what I was making was not about me. It was about the people that I was working with.
mm,
So understanding how to translate what it is that you do and what it is that you're good at in a way that people who are looking to hire you can understand the value of, I think is really important. And then just being someone that people want to work with, being easy to work with, being fun to work
exactly.
with, communicating well, all of that goes hand in hand. Nobody wants to work with someone who's super talented, who's an asshole, who doesn't
Absolutely.
communicate, who's
Yep.
late all the time, who doesn't consider new ideas, and who doesn't just, know how to package stuff for, their client's audience. So,
Mhm. Yeah, and I like that you brought up that, basically being personable, being nice, being someone that people want to work with. Because a lot of the services, like, Reminds me actually something that you said yesterday. You said that you're not that special.
Oh
You know what
God.
I mean? And so it's like, and I bring that up to say that like people could get the same service somewhere else,
Yeah.
and what they're going to determine whether they want to, obviously, like if the price is right, or even if you do charge a higher price, they're going to
Yeah.
want to work with you because of who you are, because of the relationships and things like that. So I really like how you brought that up.
Yeah.
What's next? Oh, and so at what point did you realize, okay, like I could take this full time? You know, was there a certain like monetary threshold? I know some people like to save up hella money before they actually go full time. Like, what was that like for you?
I think there are some people who are better organized than myself. I'm a little more chaotic, so I didn't have a number threshold.
Mm,
I got a contract, a part-time contract with a nonprofit, and I
okay.
was like, cool, that's 6 months of guaranteed income that I can like predict. I'm gonna take a chance on it, and I'm part-time, so I have the capacity to take on other projects.
Mm,
And within that 6 months, I grew to a place where I felt comfortable to keep going. So,
absolutely.
yeah.
Do you think that once you went full time and you, I guess, didn't have that? Well, you said you had like that 6 month contract, but do you think that you felt a lot more motivated slash had that fire under your ass once you pretty much left your job and it forced you to hustle harder? Or do you think your work ethic pretty much just stayed the same?
I think the work ethic was the same. I think the time capacity is a big deal. Like
Right.
whenever people ask me like, how do you write multiple newsletters a week? How do you podcast multiple times a week?
Exactly.
How do you do a YouTube channel
Mm,
and still show up to events and do other things? It's
facts.
like, because I have drastically more time than people who have a full-time job.
Mm,
When this is your full-time job, like you just have so much more capacity to give it. So the work ethic was the same,
mm,
but I had more time to go to networking events. I had more time to do one-on-ones. I had more time to think about proposals. I had more time to learn. So I think the timing definitely played a part in that.
mm,
Um, and yeah, some motivation, but also just I had worked before, like going full time as a contractor to build up my audience. So when I announced, like, hey, I'm full time now, this is all that I do. I think also, and I hate to say this, but when you're doing it as a side hustle, people don't take you as seriously. Like there's
mm,
still some people that will hire you, but if you have to be available during the day and that's not possible because you have a 9 to 5, people are
facts.
not going to hire you for certain jobs.
Yeah,
So I think for me too, when people knew I was full time, they're like, "Oh, you're taking this seriously. We're going to pay you a
exactly.
serious rate. We understand that you pay your bills with this."
Mm,
And so I think there's an intrinsic understanding and just different level of respect for
absolutely.
people that are full time creators too.
Absolutely. So, in terms of marketing your business, if you could only choose one way to get clientele, whether that's Instagram, whether that's YouTube organic, whether that's paid ads, what would you choose? What would you, yeah, what would you choose?
Oh, just one?
Yeah, just one.
I think for creators it doesn't work like that. But if someone was like, "Hey, I need to invest heavily in one thing," I
Yeah,
would definitely say relationships. So whether that's going to in-person networking events, or if you
just word
live
of
in a
mouth.
rural
Okay.
area, like finding where your people are and trying to get one-on-one relationships with the people you want to work with.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
like
Word
during
of
the
mouth.
pandemic, like for me, I went to LinkedIn and I just started like filtering people that were, you know, in the nonprofit space, in the media space. I was like, hey, can we have a one-on-one? Hey, we haven't met. Can I have a virtual coffee with you?
Yeah,
And just doing that during the pandemic. And that
sure.
was super helpful too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, cool. Let's talk about your podcast. What did you talk about on your podcast?
On Honey and Hustle, we talk
Yep.
about North Carolina entrepreneur stories. So it's an interview-based podcast where I sit down with people from across North Carolina to talk about their business.
Okay, that's cool. So, what made you want to start a podcast?
I think it was just like me wanting to give back. Like coming from Alabama, there just aren't as many people that are full-time business owners, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then the ones that are available, they're super busy. So just the number of people you have access to ask questions, from mentorship to learn to network, it's just not a huge community there.
Mm,
Going from Alabama to North Carolina, it was like a complete 180. I
really?
could go to 3 networking events a week. I could go to more if I wanted to. I could go
Yeah.
to 3 networking events a day, lunch, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They
Uh-huh.
just had so many. And I think that's just a big jump in like the amount of people I was able to meet
Mm,
and like just the amount of exposure and access I had to ask deeper questions about how people were making it work.
mm,
And I felt like, and still feel, that it shouldn't matter where you live in terms of what you have access to. So the
yeah.
podcast is really about me making it for other people who may not have access to all the networking events that I have and all the full-time business owners that I'm able to talk to,
Mm.
and getting the reality of what that looks like. Because it's not,
It's not all glitz and glamours all the
no,
time.
it's
Hell no.
not at all. So, yeah.
Okay, cool. So, from talking to all these entrepreneurs, what is probably the number one, or maybe not the number one, but some advice that you got from a guest that really resonated with you, that stuck with
Uh,
you?
I think one thing is really considering what skills you have and understanding what your strengths and weaknesses are as a business owner.
Mm,
I think so many people, myself included, you start as a solopreneur, you start as
yeah.
a solo person, and you have to wear all the hats. And so you don't necessarily take the time to think about what hats you wear best and what hats only you can wear to grow the business and make it sustainable.
Mm,
So I definitely think understanding what you're good at and what you're not good at, so that when it comes time to either pay for software or pay for extra help, like you know what needs to be outsourced and know what things you need to keep doing in order to grow the business. And then just preparing for things to take longer than what you think.
no doubt.
Contrary to Twitter's belief, most entrepreneurs are not in their 20s. They're just, they're more mature. They probably
Uh,
have kids. They probably have a family. They probably have a career that they've left in corporate America to start a business. So they have a drastically different set of realities that they're bringing to the table. They have to pay bills. You know,
mm,
it's not a hobby. It's not something cute to post on Instagram. It is very much a career for many people. And careers take time to build. You know, there's no
yeah.
shortcutting that.
Yeah, Rome wasn't built in one. I'm gonna keep
You
this in.
okay? It's so funny.
That's so funny. Oh man, but yeah, Rome wasn't built in one day. Like, and a lot of people don't understand that and think that like it's social media that really has been
Mm.
killing folks. They really
It's
think
been
it's
interesting how it's
that
kind of turned into like this aesthetic of like wake
the
up,
aesthetic. Yep.
of like putting your face in ice water and then like jump on a Zoom call. Hey bro, we need to make 10K in one day. You know what I'm saying? Like it's interesting how that's kind of become like this like hallmark of having a
Yeah.
good life.
It's
I don't
been
know.
kind of, I guess, like glamorized or cool to like have a business, but it's like a lot of people don't talk about the downsides. I know so many people that, or I have a homie that went full time and he's in the thick of it, and he told me all the time, he was like, bro, like this shit not sweet, bro. Like once
Yeah.
you go full time, like it's
Yeah.
not sweet. Like
No.
the downturns are really,
It's
you really
rough. You
feel
feel
that.
it because it's
Yeah.
like it impacts every aspect of your life. I think it's really hard to separate, at least for me it was. It was really hard to separate like my life from like my business. They were just so
Uh,
synonymous at first.
yeah.
And I think a lot of times like there's just no way around it. Like you have to put in the hours to make it work. Like there is no 9 to 5 to business.
No.
You're working a lot more than that. My favorite phrase is like, yeah, I left my 40-hour week job to work 80 hours for myself.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not a joke. Like, not at first.
It's
Like,
not, but you got to do it because
yeah.
you got to do it.
Now I
'Cause
take vacations. I'm a lot healthier. But at first, yeah,
okay,
went
I'm
no
glad.
vacation.
I'm
Went no
glad.
vacation.
Oh God. Oh man. So in terms of growing the podcast, like you've been, so I think you said you had two shows.
Hmm.
Is Honey and Hustle the one you've been doing for 5 years,
Hmm.
or okay, cool.
Yeah.
So how's your podcast journey been so far? I know like a lot of people don't even make it past 5 years, let alone one. So
I think it's been good. I think I started Honey and Hustle as a video podcast
mm,
before everybody was doing a video podcast, and there just weren't a lot of resources on video podcast. I mean, like clapping, yes, but like in terms of like this was not a thing. Like being able to do a video podcast on your phone, like that was
yeah,
not even a conversation
yeah.
in
I'm
2020.
sure they didn't even have these
You know,
wireless
wireless mics,
mics.
like
Yeah,
that wasn't a thing in 2020. So it was I think the technology for video podcasting and podcasting in general has come a long way, which is really good.
right.
But a lot of it was me just figuring it out, making a lot of mistakes early on. And that was just creating. I didn't think about monetizing it, which everybody talks about now. I didn't think about, building a business around it. That was not something I was thinking about. It was
Mm,
just how do I get these conversations in front of the right people?
mm-hmm.
So creating the show was a struggle at first, but I was really excited about it. I think my guests were really excited about it. And so that made it easier because it was just like a fun time.
Absolutely.
At least recording. Editing was a whole other story. But
Oh, I'm glad I don't gotta do that. I got
yeah.
a team for that.
But yeah, even having a team, I was like, what constitutes a podcast team?
Uh,
And what does that look like on an indie level? So yeah, it was a lot of figuring it out. But I'm happier for it. I'm happy there wasn't a cheat code. I'm happy that I learned my way
right.
instead of the prescriptive way to do something. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that I learned or created my own standard for my show
Mm-hmm.
without having a lot of influence because there wasn't a lot of people to be influenced
Yeah,
by.
you did the way you want to do it.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think now because we're so inundated with what people feel like is the right way to do a podcast or the right way to do a video podcast. I think shows that are coming out now are still just leaps and bounds behind what I'm going to be by the time they get to a place where they feel confident the way I feel confident.
Okay,
So
that's dope. That's dope. So, where do you want to take the show? Are you trying to are you monetizing anything for the show, or are you doing this just
yeah, so
strictly
I would say it's not consistent, but we've definitely made money from the show, so that's
okay
cool.
through like what ads or
So I actually got paid to do a branded show for someone else. So they hired me as a host and basically a creative director because they wanted to get into video podcasting. The company did. They're like, we don't know how to do this, so can we pay you to start a show for us and teach our team how to produce a show
that's
in the
dope.
process and market it and grow it. So I did that, and that was pretty solid. I've hosted some live shows for some nonprofits, so that's pretty cool. And I've had a couple of brand deals here and there for Honey and Hustle as well.
That's cool. That's cool.
So we've made money. It's not consistent, but it is a chunk of my income for sure. What was your second question?
I was just asking where you want to take the show.
Oh, where do I want to take it? I think the next step for Honey and Hustle, at least, is to be a part of a podcast network. I think that's the next step.
Really? You can't you do that anytime? Like you just got to pay like an annual fee, right?
So, my thing about a podcast network is
Oh,
that
hot take coming.
yeah, I don't know if it's hot take. I just think it's my take. I think that my take on it is that I don't need the name recognition of being a part of a podcast network. What I need is the capacity that they give me. And by capacity, I mean the capacity to be more aggressive on seeking brand deals and ad partnerships in a way that I don't have capacity to do right now. And then I think on the earned media side of things, I would like help. Right now, like to speak at Podcast Movement, I'm the one who's searching for opportunities and pitching myself, which is fine. I feel fine doing that, but I feel like we could probably be doing more in that aspect. I just don't have the capacity to do that.
Gotcha.
And even like podcast guesting, like all of that is kind of on me. And I feel like
So you want more like an assistant to kind of help you with things?
yeah, I think there are more opportunities that the show is and me as a host are poised for that I just don't have the capacity to pursue as maybe aggressively as I would like.
Yeah.
So that to me is the value add of a podcast network. I would feel more comfortable hiring my own editors or whatever.
Oh, for sure.
But again, for people that pay to be a part of a podcast network, that is some of what they're paying for. They're paying for a team, and I don't necessarily need to
You
pay
don't
for
need
that.
that,
Yeah,
yeah.
I need the other parts of growing the show. So,
Yeah, I was just talking to Kiera. Shout out Kiera from Cocktails. We were talking about like just outsourcing some of the work as being a podcaster because it's definitely hard. Like even though like for me like I have editors and stuff, but like you said, trying to find speaking engagements, trying to find conferences, and then booking guests. I would say that booking guests probably takes the most out of my time and having to reschedule and stuff. Like I had this whole schedule of okay, well I'm gonna take a week off from because I wasn't originally going to record anything down here, but then my two guests that I was supposed to do last week ended up rescheduling. So I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
I didn't and so my backlog basically was non-existent. So I was like, all right. So just different stuff like that and then having to reschedule and go back and forth with people. If I had somebody that could do that for me, that would be perfect. So I definitely tap in with a podcast network for that.
Yeah.
But shoot, Angela, it's been a great episode so far.
So far,
yeah.
he's like, it's about to get bad. I'm joking.
No, but I always like to allow my guests to get the final word. What do you want to leave the people with?
So one of my proudest accomplishments since starting Honey and Hustle is starting our newsletter, Please Hustle Responsibly. We started that in December of 2023, and it has been an incredible space for our community to come together, meet each other, get found for jobs and collaborations, but also learn and how to grow their own creative business. So if you're interested in learning more about my experience in creating and growing as a full-time creator, as a small business owner, please check out Please Hustle Responsibly.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's definitely going to be in the show notes. But on that note of a newsletter, how was it starting a newsletter? Because that's something I told myself I was going to do this year, and I definitely didn't do. So how is it starting one from scratch? Like, how'd you go about getting subs?
Yeah, I like it. I like the writing aspect of it. I like all creativity, but yeah, writing has been really great. I think it's helped every other aspect of my business as well to write on a regular basis. In terms of getting subscribers, It's again, I'm indie, so a lot of things I do are not paid. They're all organic because I need them to be sustainable. So for me, developing relationships with other newsletter writers, writing really good shit very consistently, and
Emphasis on the good shit. Gotta be good.
and then leveraging social media, so knowing how to market the things that you write for the people that need to see them. So
I saw that's all. All
yeah,
right, Angela, it was a great episode. Where can the people find you at?
my newsletter. Please also responsibly, and I'm also on LinkedIn at Angela Hollowell.
All right, cool. Well, I hope you guys learned something new today about being a full-time creator. Be on Ordinary Podcast. Till next time, peace.
I know.